everyone. I'm Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to learn more about the City Council elections this fall of 2023. To that end, I've invited all the candidates for office to come on this show in the MCAT studio in the beautiful Missoula Public Library so that we'd have a quieter environment for the candidates to express their views. To that end, Sierra Farmer is in the studio with me. She is a candidate for Ward 2 and an incumbent in Ward 2 right now. Sierra, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Joel.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Glad to be here.
Well, as you know, everyone's getting asked the 4 questions, and I really didn't mean them to lead in any particular direction other than give you an opportunity to riff off them, to take them whatever point you wanted.
Okay.
So here's your first question. What motivated you to seek this office?
Yeah, so I filled Mayor Hess's seat that he vacated when he left council to become mayor. And so I applied for it really I had thought about it several times, but I thought maybe way far in the future I'd like to be on council, not while I'm raising 2 small children.
Right.
And so I applied for it. And the reason I really wanted to do it was I grew up in Missoula and I love it here. And it feels like we're in a really pivotal moment right now. Like we could take one fork or the other. And having a new mayor, I think, is a big deal. And I think that with all the exponential growth that we're seeing too, we're at kind of a really big moment. And I just want to be there to help us guide in the right direction and make good decisions and keep Missoula, the Missoula that we all love. But also grow with it. And so that's why I put my name in the hat. I when I first applied, I really was thinking, there's no way they would pick me. There's 6 of us.
Right.
And
you were testing the waters.
I just thought, we'll see.
And then the waters got warmer. They're like,
yes, it was kind of crazy. I really didn't have a lot of time. They had to appoint someone within 30 days. So it was a pretty quick decision. And now, so I've been there since October, and it's been so eye-opening and mind-blowing, and there's so much going on, and I really am enjoying it as much as you can enjoy being on council. But I do enjoy it, and I want to stay. That's why I'm running again to keep my seat, so that I can be a part of the next 2 years. And this is a 2-year seat. So this will only be for 2 years, similar to the way the mayor position is right now. So that's why there's 2 people running in Ward 2 as well. So it's a little tricky right now.
Yeah, people are a little confused, right?
Definitely.
Because there's 4 candidates for Ward 2.
Yep.
But that had come about because there was the regular vacancy, the staggered vacancy.
Yep.
And because Jordan Hess was then selected by the council body to fill Mayor Engen's term, then Ward 2 lost a representative. So
yes.
4 are running, but it's not like Ward 5 where 3 are running and they're on the primary. It's more like there's 2 seats up because of the unfortunate death of Mayor John Engen last summer.
Yep.
Well, what are your top 3 priorities if you are successful and elected?
Yeah, so I think my number 1 priority is public safety. And I think I say public safety because I think that's what the city has to do really well. If we don't do that well, we can't really do the
Police
best.
and fire is what they say.
Yeah, so when I say public safety, I mean a little bit more than police and fire. So obviously police and fire is part of that, and that's a big part of our budget. But I also mean, we have the awesome mobile support team that has been helping a lot and diverted. I think the number now is up to over 1,000 calls from police and fire that they have dealt with.
Could you explain, for people watching, if we say mobile support team?
Yep.
They're like, what do they mean? What are they talking about?
Yeah, so the mobile support team was started, I think, during COVID using ARPA dollars originally, and they're a team of EMTs and social workers and folks that can really help with those types of calls that maybe police and fire don't have the time to really help people get the resources they need. So the mobile support team will get called in by usually the police if there's some sort of situation where they need follow-up care. And so the mobile support team will follow up with folks. Maybe they're having like a mental health issue and they need resources. They'll follow up with them. So they'll have like a case manager that will help them get the right resources they need. And
So it's not just about policing. Policing is, well, you're not supposed to do this, so don't do it. We'll
Yep.
stop you. Whereas mobile support is, you may need help connecting to services that otherwise, cause you to cause a disruption that involve police or something like that.
yeah, and so it makes it so there's not as many repetitive calls. So
Yeah.
if the police have to return to the same situation over and over again, then the mobile support team can kind of help those folks. So that's a huge resource, and that's really, it's pretty amazing that we have something like that, and it's been really successful. So when I say public safety, I'm including, the mobile
Yeah.
support team. But to me, public safety also means safe infrastructure too. So safe sidewalks, safe bike lanes, safe development, safe speed limits in neighborhoods, making sure that the roads being built are safe for that neighborhood, the speed limits, the traffic flow. So it's like a big umbrella of public safety, but to me, that's sort of the basic responsibility of city government, is to do that really well.
Yeah.
And so to me, that is our top priority. And we are having some decisions that we're going to have to make pretty soon about the way we're going to deal with the fire department has a levy that's going to be on the ballot this November. And, we're growing so fast. The fire department, they are growing as well. They need to grow. And so that is an up and coming decision that Missoulians are going to have to make. And I think that public safety for everyone, meaning folks with a house and also our houseless community, I wrap that all under public safety. We all have to feel safe in our community. And that is a top priority to me. I think second, and this is probably a lot of people's top priority, is affordable housing. That is one of the reasons that really made me want to run too, is just seeing so many of my friends and family just being completely priced out of Missoula, having to leave. And so I think that the city has a role in that to bring the right people to the table and to help supplement it with what we have is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which we've been pretty successful in supplementing a lot of projects. And then just bringing a lot of public and private partnerships to the table. That is the role of the city too, is to have those conversations and to really encourage developers to have more affordable housing aspects to their development. We can't always force people to do that.
No, I don't think so.
But we can really encourage them or help maybe supplement some things like helping offset some of the costs. And the other piece to that I want to stay on council for is the code reform process, which I'm sure a lot of candidates have talked about, but that's sort
They
of...
haven't.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, they haven't. When candidates have talked about affordable housing, how to address it, they might say, well, code reform. And I say, well, could you be more specific? And they might say, well, maybe a greater density, less parking requirements, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so we haven't updated our code, I think, since the 70s, maybe.
There was a
Is
big
it
one
sooner
that
than
went
that?
from like Title 19 to Title 20,
To
and
20, yeah.
I'm going to guess it was about from '08 to 2011, about
Okay.
a 3-year process there, and how much it changed. I didn't
I
keep
don't know.
track. I was
Yeah.
like doing the meetings,
Yeah.
and some of them were pretty hot,
Yeah.
where people got very mad about density, mad about parking, because they had envisioned a Missoula of big houses on broad lawns and 2-car garages everywhere. And,
Yep.
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying the ball of time was kind of rolling over some expectations, and it was done, but not done in the heat of what we're facing now.
Yeah.
Some 13, 14 years ago.
And it feels like a really once in a lifetime opportunity to me. And that's another reason why I want to stay on council for those next 2 years to help that decision. Because I think that we really want to hear from the community and have really good engagement of what does that mean? What do you want Missoula to look like? How do you want it to grow? Where do you want it to grow? Do you want less parking? Do you want different types of resources? I think we'll also find out if there is maybe some pipeline gaps in the process. Like, do we need more planners? Do we need more building inspectors?
Oh, I see, yeah.
Do we need to make some changes somewhere within the city departments to help speed things up? Can we be more clear on what we're expecting from developers? And so I think that part makes me kind of excited, because that actually feels like a tangible thing we can get done and maybe move the needle a little bit. I don't think we'll ever build our way out of this housing crisis.
No, maybe not. You have to wait for the fever to be over.
Yeah.
And say, oh, Missoula, been there, done that.
Right, when people don't want to be here anymore,
Right.
which I don't know is
Just ask
gonna
Abushin
happen.
how that went. Did we get 3 top priorities? I understand, like,
Yeah.
under public safety, there's so many things. Police,
Yeah.
fire, roadways, infrastructure. I actually don't know, does Ward 2 include the Orange Street underpass and the now hobbled and troubled overpass? Or is that Ward 1?
That's Ward 1.
Okay.
So yeah, we just redistricted in March, I think.
Yeah.
And so Ward 2 is growing out towards the airport a little bit. So it's actually now it's almost my house is basically almost the boundary, which I live on Sherwood and Pine Street, and so, or Scott Street. And
Yeah, I was
so,
gonna say.
yeah, not Pine, Scott.
It's west side, not north side, your house.
Yeah, so my house is on the west side, and so the boundary now is the Scott Street is basically the boundary now. But the north side bridge over is a huge need right now for the west side and the north side, and it is, I'm hopeful we can get that done this winter. But my third priority, so it would be, public safety, affordable housing, and then also tax reform really needs to happen on a lot of levels. And we have to find a way to stop relying primarily on property tax.
We have heard that from another
I'm
candidates.
sure, yeah.
And they often refer to the state level and say, well, if I'm in office, I'll just try to convince as many Missoulians as possible to lobby the state to help us out with local option taxes, which are
Right.
prohibited, or
Yeah.
some other form of relief.
Yeah. And that feels a little bit like, yep, it's at the state level. There's not a lot we can do, but there is a lot we can do still locally. We already operate on pretty small margin in our budget, but there could be some other ways that we can help with the property tax situation and the budget situation. And that is something I'm hoping we can make a little bit of progress on, because we just can't keep raising taxes like this. It's not sustainable. And that I am hopeful that something can happen in my 2 years. So those would be my 3 top priorities.
Yeah.
If I got a fourth one, it would be
Go ahead.
more transparency and just better access to city government. And I think that is something that is a little bit hard for folks to get engaged, because sometimes you don't have time on a Wednesday to watch a subcommittee or watch an entire 3-hour meeting.
No.
And so I would love to see us improve a little bit on that part, just make it a little bit more accessible and transparent for folks to know how we're making decisions, and better access to budget documents and things like
You
that.
certainly could have a show here. We'd support you. We got a studio.
Yeah.
And also the full power radio station goes from here to Potomac and goes way beyond the city limits anyway now, their signal, which is kind of shocking. Okay, here's your third question, and I hope it's appropriate. What some candidates had said, well, I haven't gotten to my door knocking yet because we're kind of early, especially when there's no primary except for Ward 5. But here's your question, feel free to modify it. What did you learn on the campaign trail?
Yeah, so I guess for me, my campaign trail so far has really just been being on council for this year.
'Cause it's not quite a year yet.
Yeah,
For you.
yep. And I think what I'm hearing a lot definitely from Ward 2 and from my constituents, is just a little bit of uneasiness about the massive growth. So if you've driven out past Mullen Road anytime soon, there's a lot of development happening out there. I think folks are just feeling that crunch a little bit right now, and with a lot of traffic on roads that haven't seen traffic in the past. And same with the west side too. We're seeing a lot of development too, a lot of more infill. And so I think what I'm learning a lot from folks is that they're just feeling that crunch right now of just a lot more people moving here.
Kind of anxiety, almost like, wow, things are really changing. Where will it lead or something?
Yeah, a lot of fear, a little bit of like, what are we going to look like? And
Yeah.
whether you've been here for, 35 years or only been here maybe 3 years or however long, you will have seen change in that amount of time. And I think that everyone fears change a little bit. And
Perfectly natural.
Yep. And so it's hard to adapt. And so I think that that's the thing that I hear a lot, and that's what I think. I was going into council. I don't know if I understood how much people were feeling that, because you're in your bubble.
Yeah, sure.
And you don't hear about it. So I think that was really surprising to me. And I think that I'm excited to start knocking on doors and hear from folks more.
One person on the show observed, one candidate observed that there was an interesting difference between the people that regularly came to council to say stuff at the podium, at the microphone, and the other concerns that people that were just in their houses had.
Yeah.
That they say, oh, well, I've heard these concerns for a year on council, and then when I went into my neighborhoods, different set of priorities, different
Right.
set of concerns. And that was interesting about the self-selective character of democracy, maybe, that any kind of sociology thing is like, what are people thinking? Well, there's a set that are going to tell you. And the set you got to ask could be different people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's your final, and this can be your soapbox. It could be anything you want, but it's the broad question. What do you want potential voters to know about you?
I think what I'd love for folks to know about me is I do really love Missoula. I really do care about it. I love it here. I've chosen to stay here and raise my family here and continue living here. And I want to help the city grow in the right way. And I mean that in a really genuine way. I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm not on council because I have some sort of like weird power hunger or something.
More too.
I have a full-time job that keeps me
Right.
very busy and a family. I'm really doing it because I really do care and I want to make some change. And I think that that's what I hope folks remember is that I'm living here like they are. I'm trying to raise a family. I'm trying to make a living. And I think that we have to kind of do it together and work together to, keep Missoula weird, but also keep it growing. And I think that that's what I hope people kind of remember is that I want to do the right thing and I want to hear from them. And that I'm here for the long haul. I don't want to turn it into the city I just came from. I really want it to retain its roots, but also grow. And I hope that I get to do it, for another 2 years.
Okay. Well, Sierra, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
luck in your campaign.
Thanks.
And thank you, dear viewer, for taking the time to learn more about city council elections this fall of 2023. We'll have all the candidates' interviews that wanted to come here and do an interview. We'll have them all up together on a playlist on the YouTube, and they'll also show on our Missoula Community Channel 190 on Charter Cable. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you on the campaign trail next time. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.